Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a monster review. Now today we're going to talk about another demon. In fact, we're going to talk about a very special demon, YEENOGHU, the Demon Lord of GNOLLS. Now, the Demon Lord of GNOLLS comes to us from the original monster manual for use with Dungeons & Dragons, or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or back in the day what was called 1E. And it is a fierce creature that was, like many of the creatures in here, very specifically invented for use with Dungeons and Dragons. And as the Demon Lord of GNOLLS, this is a -5 armor class. It has 100 hit points. It is 80% resistant to magic. It cannot be hit by standard weapons. It can only be hit by +1 or better weapons. So, don't use your average sword. It's just not going to work. Now, of course, this is a very powerful gnoll or demon lord of the gnolls, and it has its own, retinue of things like a group of gnolls, and it can be like, I think it's 99 of them. And they tend to be at the higher end of the hit dice. They'll have more hit dice than a standard gnoll will. And, of course, it's able to order them around. It also has the ability to summon ghouls to serve it, though it'll be lesser number of ghouls than it would be of gnolls. And that's still going to be pretty cool. Now, one of the things that's very specific about this Demon Lord of GNOLLS, and you can see from the pictures and so forth, is that it carries a staff with a ball and chain style mace with 3 different balls on it. And that's because they, well, of course, to make things easier, they all do different things. Now, these balls are spiked balls, and they're attached to it's, I think, a 7-foot long staff, and it's adamantine chain links that attach it to the staff. So, when these spiked balls hit an opponent, in the first instance, if it's the spike ball number 1, it does 3 to 18 points of damage. That's pretty good right there, right? The second one, you make a save versus magic or you're paralyzed. And the third one is you make a save versus magic or you're confused, as the magic spell Confusion. All nice, but it doesn't say anything about damage on those 2 specific ones. Use just the save versus the whatever the magical effect is. That's once again up to your DM. I have to honestly say that when I've done it, they get the 3 to 18 no matter what. It's just a question of whether it's just with something extra or not. And once again, if you make a save, that effect isn't going to occur to you. It's not going to happen in any case. Now, once again, because it's a demon lord, this is not a small creature. It looks like a giant gnoll. Boy, big surprise. And it stands 12.5 feet tall. That's no small creature. And, of course, it has a cornucopia of magical effects that it's able to perform as being the Demon Lord of the Gnolls. And amongst those demon-type powers, it can, throw a 10-foot radius of darkness around it. It is able, obviously, to gate in or use gnolls or ghouls, but it also has the ability, 80% chance, to bring in Type 1 demons. Not the most difficult demons in the world, but still, having those on top of, say, a bunch of, not necessarily that scary either, but higher level gnolls, and its own powers, it makes for a pretty effective opponent. I mean, it has 100 hit points. So that's good by the standards of the day. It wouldn't be considered that much today, but by the standards of the day, it was considered to be pretty potent. Now, amongst its cornucopia of magical things that it could do, things like, fly, turn invisible, telekinesis, 10,000 gold pieces weight, detect magic, detect illusion, it's a long list. Refer back to the book. But it's a very long list of magical things that it can do. And of course, that combined with its attacks and the normal abilities that a demon would have, this is a pretty potent opponent. Obviously themed to work with a, oh, I don't know, some kind of a dungeon where you're going to run into a large gnoll community or something like that, and maybe he's the guardian of the community or associated with the community and can be called to help it or something of that nature. But it is not what you would typically find in a group of demons. It's very specific to gnolls and related, and you wouldn't expect it to be involved, at least that directly, in the affairs of, say, humans or dwarves or elves. But it is a pretty powerful demon lord. So, do we, as in dwarves, run into YEENOGHU? Well, no. I wouldn't want to. I mean, we do sometimes battle gnolls as an opponent, but we've never run into anything like this. Of course, in the gaming world, a little bit different. And we went out to the greater Hornhelm community and asked our DMs and players and so forth and said, hey, what about YEENOGHU, the demon lord of the gnolls? And, of course, we got some feedback. And the DMs came back and said, powerful creature. Not as powerful as some of the other demon lords, but very powerful nonetheless. And the DMs, when we asked them about it, came back and said, well, this one's a pretty good one. They gave it between a 7 and an 8, in spite of the limitations compared to some of the other demon lords. I don't really disagree with that. This one kind of depends on the situation. If you're a powerful party going up against this guy, the maximum help it can call in is still usually something that can be handled. But once again, it depends on the DM, depends on the strength of the party, the individual players, etc., etc., etc. Of course, going to the players and asking them about it, they came back and they said a very strong 8 to 8.5. Not unusual to find the players ranking it a bit higher than the DMs because they're the ones who are on the ass being kicked side. Certainly not something to underestimate as a creature, but probably not super likely to run into this. If you do, and you know that it's a big, tall gnoll, way taller than any other gnoll, the first recommendation that we always give to any party running into demons is that retreat is the first option. Running away and living to fight another day, good idea. But this is definitely a creature you want to be wary of if you run into it. Also, should be pretty easy to tell what it is if you do. So that, my friends, is YEENOGHU, the demon lord of the gnolls. Interesting creature. In any case, hope you found today's presentation to be interesting, educational, amusing, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, well, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Drop us a line, share with your friends. Come back and see us again real soon. We thank you so much for your kind support. Take care, everyone, and remember, dwarves rock!